Thank you very much. This is our fourth session, and the topic is discipline or die. It sounds harsh and tough, but the reason why I've chosen this one is because it's so critical, it's so important. It will repeat some of the things that we've said before, but I want it to be so. It must make an indelible mark in your mind, in your heart, in your soul, that you do not tolerate any indiscipline, ill discipline, because you've got a vision to achieve. And I believe some of you are going to build successful organizations that are going to grow and make a huge impact. There's one thing that is good about business. There's a lot of other things that are not right about business, particularly if you're doing it wrong. But one thing that is good is that a business is a powerful tool for development of people. It's an extremely powerful tool. If the ingenuity of humankind, one of the best innovation was to create something called company, PTY Ltd. And then also be able to create it and become a public company so that you can be able to have a lot of people owning that company. Like our company now is owned by people all over the world. But it's got an ability to promote development. Global companies like Exxon and BP and BASF on the chemical side are not owned by an individual. They're owned by everybody around the world. When I grew up, I didn't even understand what is a share. So hopefully you will understand what is a share and buy shares in companies. Discipline or die. Critical success factors to build a high quality company. Let's start with the word of God. Proverbs chapter 15 verse 10. It says, harsh discipline is for him who forsakes the way. So if you get out of the way, you're going to be disciplined. The markets are going to discipline. The customers are going to discipline you. You're going to be out if you're not focused and you're disciplined. He who hates correction will die. That's not me, that's what the word of God says. Now, I've made this point about focus, but I want to underline relentless focus. Relentless focus. You see, one of the reasons that you see a company that it is disciplined and the leadership is disciplined is the way they are focusing is relentless. And what does it mean? They define very well what is this business standing for. And then once they've decided on that, they decide how they're going to compete. And once they've decided on that, they allocate time and resources for those specific goals. Now, there's something in business we call capital allocation. And we do a lot in our business. We look at those projects that are aligned with our organization, and those projects, we give them money. We allocate capital to them so that we can study them, do what we call pre-feasibility, and do feasibility, and then go into what we call FID, financial investment decision, and then relentlessly execute according to plan and according to the design and according to the scope that has been agreed upon. Now, let me tell you, if you're not disciplined, and it's particularly if it's a big project, we've seen this. A project must have a scope. It's like when you're building a house, when you're building a big plant. The consultants and engineers that are actually a service provider are very well skilled in actually asking you to change the scope. Because if they ask you to change the scope, they can immediately say there's a variation order that has been put into place here, and therefore we need to charge you a little bit more money because we didn't budget for that. Are you with me? You see, once you've decided, let me give you those who want to build their house. Once the architect has actually given you the plan, you must hold the builders accountable to that plan and be disciplined to build that house according to that plan. Any variation must be approved by you because once a variation happens, it's going to cost you money. Are you with me? Discipline in business is critical. Once we've agreed on a decision, we come out of the board meeting, and that's the decision has been made, There's no more further debate about it. It must be implemented. Period. Are you with me? If you do not do that, instill that discipline in your organization, we'll have a meeting here and the board they make a decision, and then you go out, somebody says, no, we need to think about this decision. Come on, we've made a decision now. Discipline is, we have made a decision, there's no requirement for debate. It's implement. You are leaders now. You've been in Unleashing Leadership Potential. Tell your neighbor, you must have discipline. We're going to implement. Yeah. Otherwise, if you don't do that in business, you're going to die. You're going to die. And discipline says to define then what are the most important tasks that needs to be done. What are the most important tasks that needs to be done? And you focus on important tasks. I've taught you already about this. In fact, that quadrant, it says there's important, unimportant, urgent, and not urgent. What are the important tasks that needs to be done? It will determine your diary. Go and check your diary today. From this week onwards, there's an exercise with you, man. Check every day your diary and check it against the goals that you have. And see whether there's a correlation on what you do every day on your diary with the goals that you have. If your diary is full of meetings that has got nothing to do with achieving the goals that has been set for you on your performance appraisal, on a performance chart or performance agreement, it means you are ill-disciplined. Are you with me? A diary is the clearest indicator of discipline. What are the important tasks? What are the tasks that when you do them, they make the maximum difference in your organization? Now there's an 80-20 rule in everything in life. If you've got customers, normally 20% of the customers give you 80% of the revenue that you want and the profitability. Now, you need to know what is it that you need to do that will give you the biggest results. We call that leverage in business. Leverage simply means there is a point in which when you lever that thing, it's going to boomerang and give you the maximum results. You need to understand, discipline helps you to understand what is important and where is your maximum leverage. In negotiation, sometimes it's timing. Now, when you are actually now running a business and you are really putting together like an organization, whether it's a church, it doesn't matter, whether it is an NGO or NPO or a community organization, you have to put systems in place. One of the reasons, one of our biggest challenge we have, we do not institutionalize our businesses. So how they get run? They get run because, like my grandfather, he knows everything is in his head, And then the business flourishes when he in his 30s and 40s and in 50s when he's at a peak. And then when he starts going down in his 60s, the business starts collapsing. And when he goes down 70s, by the time he's 80, dies with the business. Boom. How many township businesses have you seen doing that? Why? It's not been institutionalized. And discipline simply means, that's why they die. Simply means you put systems into place so that systems can capture the knowledge in the head of the founder. And then there's procedures that are written down so that when somebody is knocked by a proverbial bus, like Raymond there, and then there's no person who's indispensable. Ill-disciplined people or leaders allow some people who hoard information and keep it to themselves to make themselves indispensable. Have you seen managers who do that? They don't want to tell anybody what they're doing and how it's done because they know that if they do that, they'll lose their jobs. If you're a disciplined leader, you break that very quickly. To institutionalize, document stuff. If anything new that is happening in your organization, you must say, sit down. Discipline, Herman, write it down. Exactly. We want a manual. We want a procedural manual that is actually detailing exactly. That's discipline. To ensure that this thing is documented. Now we're talking digital world is happening. If you're not disciplined to understand it, that world, and make sure that it actually, you adapt to it, you're going to be gone. Are you with me? Discipline. Discipline starts by simple things, just arriving on time. Discipline means you must execute. I told you that time. You must execute. Relentlessly execute. Now, this is the biggest challenge we have in our country is execution. Just the spirit of not completing. You even start a degree, the next thing you advance, the next thing, so say UJ, the next thing, so say UCT, the next thing, so Wheeler Pans, VUT. You're a perennial student. Jeebus. You haven't finished that, what you've started at the University of Limpopo. The next thing, you're University of Venda. You just not disciplined. Now you see, I sound like a real grandfather who must sit down and really tell you, my children, be disciplined. Be real disciplined. It's critical. Now, one of the things that you need to actually understand is that we inspect things for respect. Now, if nobody inspects something, as a leader, you need to inspect things, not because you don't trust people. It's critical that as a leader, once in a while, get out of your office, go into the field. If you're running a shop or you're running a retail network, just pretend as if you are not the owner. Just walk in. I do that. I just sometimes drive into a service station and nobody knows who I am. Yeah, Soli laughs. We're going on a holiday with the family. Soli had to stop me because I got into this service station somewhere at Brett's, and I come back there and I see there's nothing that drives me mad because, I've got petrol in my blood, and I see the pumping positions are empty. And I look at it, why are they empty? They've blocked them. And I ask, why have you blocked the pumping position when even we want to fill up? And I tell them all the time, with this convoy of cars, when we're going as a family, and we can't fill. And then I ask, they tell, no. The owner of this shop has just employed 2 people at the peak hour, just to man 2 bars. When there's 6 empty, I lost my cool. I was screaming at the top of my voice, so they said, please, man, this is holiday time. We're not working. And I said, I want to owner now. Poor service like that. When cars are coming, they can't get serviced. Lack of discipline. I took out my car and said, tell him, I was here. And it was bad service. Point is, inspect for respect. People respect what you inspect as a leader. They do it. If you do not inspect, they don't respect that part of the work. So that's the point I wanted to make about discipline. I just wanted to make it so strongly that you understand it. You inspect for respect. Now in life, I've said it before, you're going to go through dips. All I'm asking you is that push through the dip. Push through the dip. In business, it's not a bed of roses. I've started businesses. At the beginning of starting a business, As an entrepreneur, that is when you need to push through the deep. Ask Theo, we start businesses regularly with him. He's now getting into the heck of it. But you need to push through the deep. You know, it's like anything. It's amazing. You know, I remember when we were studying Excel, and then we built one of their service stations in Zambezi. And after building it, I remember standing with a very close friend of mine. And we're standing at that service station. And there was no car coming in. And the cars were just passing. And no car coming in. And a friend of mine looked at me and says, David, this won't work. You know when somebody says this, it won't work, especially a friend. That's when you get more discouraged. We had to think, what do we do? We decided, let's launch the service station. Let's go into the community. Let's get our pamphlets out there. Let's go to the schools. Let's go to develop a pester power kind of strategy. You know what's the pester power strategy? You're looking at me there. Pester power is what McDonald's is doing. Is to get your child to pester you to come to McDonald's. You know when your child pesters you? He says, Mommy, I want you to go to McDonald's. You go. Yeah, when my daughters were young, this one. I went to go to McDonald's every day. Every weekend. Why? The pester power. Spare is powerful with pester power. Oh, not after this recent incident. So we had to develop a pester power. Reach out to the schools and get the kids and get the principals. Now the service station is flourishing and the brand is doing very well. Why? We push through the deep. We push through the deep. I'm sure you're going through your own deep. Push. Deeps are natural on the way to success. They are just natural. They're just there. Lean on. Push. Do not allow adversity to get the better of you. Jeepers, especially when you've got... The Bible tells you that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. In fact, it separates the winners and the losers. The losers quit. Never quit. Never give up. And it takes discipline. It takes discipline. I want to conclude and talk to people all over different nations. And my message is very simple. Never give up. Push through the deep. Be disciplined. Do things which are even outside the box in order to achieve your goal. And all of us needs to do that. And I've seen too many quitters. And they quit so quickly. And the problem is that the quitters, when they quit, they even cause disruption. Instead of actually admitting that, listen, I need help. I need help. I need advice and guide. They just cause havoc and leave things hanging and create crisis. And all of us must come and mop the mess that you have made. So I want to challenge you as young leaders that it is important not to quit. Does it mean you become inflexible? Does it mean you become rigid? No. I mean that inner locus of control that says, I will succeed. That's what carries you waking up in the morning. When the storms comes of life. Great leaders have survived terrible storm. If you think you're going to cruise through life as a leader, I've got good news to you. You are wrong. The biggest problem that we face, that's why we lack discipline. We've got this whole concept of quick money in South Africa. The reason why I discourage people from playing lotto is not because lotto is sinful. I'm discouraging you from playing lotto and says don't play lotto. Because when you play lotto, there's a psyche that develops in your mind. And that psyche says, one day I will make money and it's quick money. And the unintended consequences of actually gambling is that it destroys your work ethic. It destroys your discipline. Because all of a sudden you've got this phantom hope that one day I will rally Lord. So if there's anything that I can say today, if you can write it down. There is no quick money in this world. There is no quick money. And this is what has spurred our young people to be always wanting to be networking with the right people at the right place, and hoping that one day when I'm standing in the right place at the right time, I'll get this big tender or I'll get this big, I always say it very loud and says, you find them in Melrose Ark, you find them in Michelangelo, young boys sitting there, and you find them in Park Hyatt. You find them all these. Now they've met at Signature. It's very famous. And Natasha's, When you walk in there with my wife, and I'm busy, man, and when I have a time with my wife, then they all come with their business card. Hey, Morris, send a business, I'm in an investment holding company. Yeah, come alive. Imagine an investment holding. Hey, I'm the chairman of it. Let me tell you, do work. Deals will come. It's not the opposite. So a lot of us spend time wanting to do deals, not work. So let's write it down. I'm going to do work. Deals will follow. Because when you do work, you get the discipline. And you get that grade that I talked about earlier. And the Bible is very clear. It says, bless the labor of your hands. So this cheap prayer of saying, geez, I'm going to claim it and then fake it and then get it. Hey, you can't supply your faith like that. Claim it, you end up faking it. That's why they end up faking it, these so-called preachers. They have to fake it now because they've claimed it. And they wear white suits and appear very rich. Are you with me? I'm being tough now, eh? I'm being tough now. I have to do this. I'm old now. Especially when I'm talking. So these young people who sit in Michelangelo, they pretend as if they are rich there with 3 phones. With kick bobos and designer suit, which they have borrowed. And you ask them, what are you doing here? You should be working. You should be at a factory building a business. Go and sit with the Madao there, and really go and do business and work. Put Makarab and put the PPE and work and build a factory. That's what we mean now. This industrialization program that we're talking about in the government, no, industrialists are just not anointed. I am anointing you. You're going to be an industrialist. I said, Herman must be disciplined. Herman must find a factory somewhere in Al Road or in Prakpan or in Boysen. Acquire it and work and build a factory. When then he emerges, Herman is going to be industrialist. No industrialist gets anointed. This program, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Herman will be an industrialist. What does the word industrial comes from? Industrial means you're working. You're industrious. Then you become an industrialist. Are you with me? Do you get my message? Discipline or die. Thank you very much.